What's good, YouTube? Steel here, and in this video we'll be taking on the second of 6 expert solo battles from the Secluded Spring expansion, Entei EX. I'm aware that Entei has the additional mission of beating it with no trainers, however that will be for a separate video. Today we'll be focusing on beating it with only grass Pokemon and 3 diamond or less. Before we begin, I'd like to ask y'all to please consider subscribing. We will be making a guide for all solo battles in addition to videos for the no trainers challenge, and subscribing is the best way to make sure you don't miss an upload. And with that said, as always, I'd like to start by breaking down the opponents list, which unfortunately for Entei EX is like a worse version of the 4 Flareon deck that was making waves in last format. And this list legitimately has 0 outs to Oricorio, so that's kind of a preview on how we're going to take it down once we do the no trainers. But all we got to focus on today's guide is the ranges they could hit on grass Pokemon, the range we needed to hit to knock them out, as well as what supporters they have access to. Their damage ranges from 80 to 150, with the god hand of double EV bag having Flareon reach a potential 170, and their HP is capped at 150. They're not playing any Giants Cape, so Flareon will always be 150, Entei will always be 140. Their basics will always be Magby with 30, Eevee with 60. The only supporter of note is Sabrina, as we have no intentions of having a damaged Pokemon in the bench for Cyrus, nor are we playing any EXs for Red to make any difference. And with those factors in mind, let's jump to the deck that we'll be using, which is Meowscarada. The key components of this Meowscarada deck is that Meowscarada plus Cape is able to survive anything that they throw at us, except for that god hand that I was talking about of Flareon with double EV bag, and that's even if they get to set up Flareon in time. Also, Meowscarada is able to knock out every basic that they have with the flat 60 damage, but if you add red, they're able to knock out both Entei and Flareon. Like we mentioned, they have no way of adding to their HP. And when it comes to Sabrina, the only answer we need to have is an extra body to throw in the rare occasion where we're building up Meowscarada in the bench and Sabrina would bring it out too early. And my choice of that extra body outside of the 2 Meowscarada lines is Kartana. Kartana fills that role of the extra body quite well, because not only is it able to knock out lead Magbys with just one hit, equipped with Cape, it's able to survive one of Entei's attacks, and that usually buys you enough time to build up the Meowscarada, which once again, when you bring it forward, it's able to knock out Entei or Flareon. And one thing to note, I should have mentioned when we were looking at Entei's deck, is they have no hand disruption, no red card, no Mars, nothing. So you're free to draw as much cards as possible. Potential changes to the deck could be removing the healing cards for cards like Iono, an extra Pokemon communication, a second Floragato, stuff to consistently bring out Meowscarada. Again, you have all the time in the world. They have 0 disruption. They have to build up Entei to 4 for it to be a threat, Flareon to 3. Although Flareon does self-charge, they would need it like Magby, and like trust me, we build up so fast, and everything in our deck swings for such low energy cost that more often than not, you'll be taking on this challenge and taking it down before they even get anything started. And that about does it for me in this video. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, and above all else, stay pro. All right, going second, which is probably ideal. Ooh. We have 2 options here. If we think they're on Magby, Kartana could just win outright, which is what I'm gonna go for. Otherwise, it's obviously Sprigatito into Rare Candy, but either or, we're pretty fine. We had, because it's crazy how we had Sprigatito into Meowscarada red. Like, that knocks out anything they have on the board, which is kind of crazy, but I was kind of like trying to hunt the Magbys. All right. Again, we're not afraid of hand disruption at all, so we just commit to this. If they evolve the Eevee, we're fine. They won't be able to ramp it enough. If they use, they retreat with the Eevee into Magby, we're still okay, because we'll have Meowscarada in the back line. Let's see what they do here. Going straight into Flareon. Yeah, literally, there's like no risk here whatsoever. Start setting up Meowscarada. Extra 40. Technically, we could Pokecom into Floragato into another Sprigatito, but it could also just get us Meowscarada and do absolutely nothing. All right, now they got something going here, but here we have guaranteed Sprigatito. Which the beauty of it is that, like, we're not afraid of, like, again, now I'm kind of like going off the, trying to remember if they even play Sabrina or anything, but if they were to play Sabrina, this is exactly the card we need so that Meowscarada is safe, right? Outside of, like, if we had Leaf Cape, the most damage they could do is 150, and we would be at 170, but we don't have the Cape right now, so yeah. All right. They're just pressing buttons at this point. We could research here. Basically, you can see already that it's basically a wrap here. Like, there's nothing they could really do. Especially since they already used the bag. So just for the sake of speed... let's force them to do something. We could technically we could just win with Kartana. Then they just sit there or whatever. The second they evolve Eevee into Flareon, we also just win. But here we force them to do something. Again, like I mentioned, Flareon could only do max 150. With the bag, it goes to 160. I guess if they have double bag or something like that, we get cooked. But yeah, thanks to Red, we knock out everything they have. And I guess this way we conserved giving them winning without a point given or whatever. Yeah. Red's very important in this matchup. And GG's. As always, we do multiple examples, but hopefully you got already the idea of like just how easy this challenge is, especially since they have all EXs. Basically, Meowscarada plus Red knocks out everything on their side of the board. And whether it's EX or not, because of if it's not EX, then the 60 is enough damage, right? So yeah, pretty easy. As always, let's go to example number 2. All right, and then we get to go second again for example number 2, and we have Sprigatito already. Going second is huge, regardless of what they start with, because if we set up Meowscarada with Red, it's a game over before they could even attack, right? Especially since they didn't open Magby. Again, that's important to point out, because technically, if they had Magby here, Entei could be swinging for 60 next turn. But we're a rare candy away from just being safe here, and there it is. Cape is a good example of how we would have survived the Magby turn anyways, because they would have swung for 80. But that's nor here nor there. I guess that's not how we would have done it, but the importance of Cape itself, right? Alright, they're going for a Find a Friend. And this is just over, right? The proof is in the pudding, or whatever people say. I've never used that terminology in my life, but it technically fits here, right? And just like I said, Meowscarada does enough damage to knock out any basic they have, and with the help of Red, they knock out any EX they have. So that's all we got to worry about. Let's go here. These don't really matter at this point. And yeah, no matter what they do, we just won this one. As far, I probably already said in the intro, but as far as the beating Entei with no trainers, that'll be a separate video after I post. I think I'm gonna do all 6 expert solo battles and then do the non-trainer ones. And that's not to say that maybe the non-trainer videos I already have up are good enough for Entei. I just haven't tried it, to be honest. That's just full transparency. Yeah, none of this matters. They can't even attack this turn. And that's GG's thanks to Red. Boom, extra 20 damage. And yeah, Meowscarada seems to have been made perfectly for a situation like this one, and here we go. So yeah, hopefully this list works just as efficiently as it did for me. As always, thank you for watching. Subscribe so you see all the solo battle guides as they come out. Also, I post everything Pokemon Pocket, so there's also a bunch of Master Ball content. Like we just posted a Suicune deck, which is carrying me all throughout Master Ball. And that just about does it for me. As always, thank you for watching, and above all else, stay pro.